Hey everyone, welcome to my new video. So recently I've made this Star Wars speeder bike and a lot of you were asking about the texturing process behind it, and it's actually very easy. So I thought it'd be a great opportunity to make a quick tutorial on taking a model from Blender, taking it to Substance Painter and back into Blender, and how really easy it is. Basically it's a matter of few clicks. There is no manual texturing whatsoever, and there is some automatic unwrapping involved, which is a great feature of Substance Painter. If you don't know this software, it's a texturing suite from Adobe. Basically it's an industry standard now for texturing, and even though it's a paid software, I think it's worth your while to try it out for simple tasks like this, and it has a free trial. So for the purpose of this tutorial, you can just download it, try it out, give it a go, and then you can see if it helps your workflow or not. If you're new to the channel and you'd like to see more content like this in the future, please hit that subscribe button and the bell button to get notified when I release something new. And now I'll switch quickly into Blender, and I'll try to make this as quick as possible for you. If you're interested in more in-depth explanations and more in-depth beginner tutorials for Blender, you can go ahead and check out my courses on polygonrunway.com. They're specifically designed to take you from zero to hero in shortest time possible. So yeah, if you're interested in learning Blender or getting into 3D for the first time, give it a spin. And now let's jump into the modeling, and I want to create really simple hard surface model, because that's what I was interested in, to create hard surface model using Boolean techniques and then being able to quickly texture it. And really Substance Painter solved all of this for me. So let's press Shift A and we'll add a cube here, and we can leave it at default scale and basically just tab in, and let's bevel this first. So I will press Ctrl B and do a bevel, and then increase number of segments with the mouse wheel, just like this, and we can go for more segments here, so it looks really smooth, something like that. And now let's right click and shade this smooth, and I want to do a little corner cutout using the Boolean modifier. So for the shortcuts to work, you need to have the Bool tool add-on active. Just go into the preferences here and search for Bool tool and enable it, and this will make these shortcuts that I'm about to use working. So let's press Shift A and we'll add another cube here, and let's just tap into the edit mode. Let's look from the top by pressing 7 on the numpad, and we can enable wireframe view so we better see what we are doing. And let's just press G and move it to a corner like this. That should work. And now let's look from the front by pressing 1 on the numpad, and let's press G then Z and move it up just like that. Okay, and now we can press 2 for edge select this edge right here and do one bevel. So let's press Ctrl B and reduce to one segment like that to give this a little bit of a visual interest. And now we can tab out and let's add a mirror modifier to this object that should mirror it on the other side. And this will work only if you moved it in the edit mode. So remember, you need to have the origin point in the middle here. And right now we can enable Y mirroring as well, and basically Z as well. So we have all corners covered here. So right now we can go back to the solid view, and let's shift click the original cube and let's press Ctrl/. So Ctrl/ and that's a slash on a numpad, and that will issue a command of the Bool tool modifier and basically create two objects for you that are separated by this Boolean object. And right now we'll need to add some bevel here. So let's select the main cube and we'll add the bevel modifier after this Boolean modifier, and let's increase the number of segments to 2, and I will enable wireframe overlay here. And now we can reduce the amount, and let's switch the method of the Boolean to fast, and I will do the same here. And now within the bevel modifier, let's go into the geometry and let's switch the miter to arc. That will change the geometry right here. Let's disable clamp overlap, and in the shading we'll enable harden normals, but for this to work we need to go to the object data properties, normals, and enable auto smooth, and let's increase to 180 degrees so the bevel modifier has full control. And now we can simply copy this to the other object. So select the other Boolean part, shift click the original one, and on the bevel modifier let's click this arrow and choose copy to select it. This will work only in Blender 2.92. That's a new feature. Looks minor, but it's a great time saver. So now we have a simple hard surface model like this, and of course we can add some more visual interest here. So let's press Shift A and I will add a circle here, and let me switch this to something like 24 segments, and let's enable wireframe view again so we better see what we are doing. And now let's tab in. I will switch to vertex select by pressing 1 so I better see the vertices. Let's press G, then X. Let's press R, then X and 90. Enter to rotate these 90 degrees. And now let's look from the front and we'll make this smaller. So press S and scale it down like this. Let's press F to fill it, and now press I to inset, and X and delete faces. So this is the object we just created, and now let's press A to select all. Let's look from the side by pressing 3 on a numpad. Let's press G, then Y to move it to the side like this, and now press E to extrude. And make sure you recalculate normals. So let's press A and Shift N in case those are flipped. And now tab out, and we'll do another Boolean operation here. So let's switch to solid view. First of all, let's shade this smooth, and now shift click the original box, and let's press Ctrl/ again. And now only thing we need to do is to move new Boolean modifier under the bevel modifier here, and the same for the box. Just like that. And now let's tab into the edit mode here. Go for face select, select this front face, and I will hold Shift S and snap cursor to select it. Tab out, that's only to move the cursor right here, and I will press Shift A. Now let's add a cylinder here, and let's leave it at 24. So tab in and press S to scale it down like this. Let's press R, X, 90 degrees like that. Make it maybe even smaller. And right now tab out, shift click the main object, and let's again hit Ctrl/ on a numpad, and again move modifiers in the stack under the bevel modifier. And of course we need to make this smooth, so select the Boolean object, right click shade smooth. And to create yet another detail, we can select the box again, tab in, select the top face, Shift S cursor to select it, and now tab out, and I'll press Shift A, and let's add a cube, tab in, press S to scale it down, and now I will press 2 for edge select, Ctrl Alt, click the edge on the side to select all of them around, and let's press Ctrl B to bevel, and we'll do another cutout. So shift click the box and Ctrl/ again, and we can move them in the stack. And yeah, basically our simple hard surface model is ready. So what we need to do right now is to clean it up, and just for the sake of changes later, we can save this into a backup. So you can select all, press Shift D to duplicate, right click to release, press M, select new collection, and let's call this backup, and I will disable that collection. And the most important thing here, we basically need to apply all of those modifiers, so we have just a mesh object. So we need to unlink them and then apply all of the modifiers. Go to the object, relations, make single user, object and data, and now we can just go ahead, hit object, convert to, and mesh. And this way, all of these objects got its modifiers applied when we convert it to mesh. So right now we are free to just delete these helper objects that helped us to create these Boolean cutouts, and we can select all, shift click the box as the last, and let's press Ctrl J to just join them into single object. So this is what we have right here. There are quite a lot of angons, and sometimes around these bevels, this can get quite complicated if you would want to unwrap that, and that's where the Substance Painter comes in, because it has way better automatic unwrap than Blender. So we can just take this, export it directly into Substance Painter, and texture it. So let's tab out right now, and with these objects selected, go to the file, export, and I will choose FBX here, and basically just enable selected objects and export FBX, and you should have that file on your drive. And now let's switch to the Substance Painter and bring this to life. In the Substance Painter, we can just create a new file, so go File, New, and here we need to set up the template. Metallic roughness is okay, so we'll just need to select our FBX file. So select our object here, and we'll switch the resolution to let's say 2K. That should be enough, and I will switch this to OpenGL because that's the normal format Blender uses. And don't forget to enable auto unwrap, and let's hit the options so we can see it's set to recompute all. Let's hit OK and let's confirm. So this might take a little bit, but basically we now have the object here and it's unwrapped. So if I switch the view to the view of the texture, you can see it can be quite messy, and this is not like a production ready thing for games and stuff because the mesh is messy itself. There are a lot of angons, there is a lot of hidden geometry that we don't need to have there actually, that we created with those booleans, and all of those little bevel parts create a UV mess like this. But all in all, you can see the main part here was unwrapped quite nicely as quite large UV island, and that will make your textures look great without any seams and stuff like that. So I'm okay with this, and Substance Painter has this great feature which is called Smart Materials. So let's just navigate here and switch to Smart Materials, but before we use them we need to do something called map baking, and I don't want to ponder about this too much here. So basically you just need to go here to the texture set settings, scroll down a little bit. It's a little bit hidden feature, but here you can see the button to bake mesh maps, and basically you can leave everything as is, just increase the resolution to 2K, same as the project resolution, and click bake selected textures. And what will that do? It will generate a lot of maps for you that will help you to utilize the smart material features, like the automatic cavities and curvatures and stuff like that. So let's scroll down and let's find some nice material, and I can already see there is some painted steel here, so it can be just as easy as clicking and dragging your material onto your object. Let me switch back to the 3D view here, and basically you have now textured hard surface model, and you can see all of these scratches and stuff like that. It got all applied automatically and it looks great right out the bat. You can try a different material, so let's go to layers, and I might note that Substance Painter works in layers, and that's a great thing because when you use the smart material, it's not some like hidden algorithm. You can always open the folder of the smart material and have a look at all of those elements that make up the material and make changes. So you can, for example, change the color of that base material or stuff like that. So really great thing. Let me go back a few steps. I want to add a different one for you to see. Let's add this painted steel, and you can see the dirt in the cavities there. That's something that was generated by the smart material and is generated using those maps that we baked before. You need to always generate those maps for this to work. So yeah, this is quite nice, but I want to kind of combine some of the materials, and we'll use masking for that. So I will now apply the first material, and I really liked this one, so let's keep it at that. But I want to introduce some like brush metal material here. So let's just bring in the steel smart material and just apply it the same way. This got overridden, but don't worry about that. You can see on the right in the layers that we now have two materials applied, and we just need to mask it out. So to do that, I will just add a mask to this top material, and I will add the black mask to mask it all out. And now to add white parts to the mask, for these certain parts, you can either paint directly in your mask or use any of these like smart filters, but you can use the polygon fill feature right here. And probably the best option here would be to use the UV chunk fill, which will basically target the whole UV island. So we can now just click here to the corner, and you can see we masked out that part of the model, and we can just continue like that and mask them all out just like that. And right now we can click this one here, and yeah, basically that's it. I want to make this glowy later in the Blender, so yeah, maybe we can introduce yet another material. I would really like to have like some glossy plastic here, so let's try this one here. And I really like this with all of those scratches, So basically we can again just add a black mask and click here to mask it out. Okay, and maybe this part here as well. They'll give it some variation. Okay, so yeah, that's basically all. Your object is now textured and you can export the textures. First of all, I will save the project and we need to do two things. We need to export the object itself because we auto-generated the UV maps here in Substance. We need to get them back into Blender. So let's go to the file, let's hit export mesh, and I will uncheck apply triangulation and hit export. And right after the export, we can export the texture maps. So let's go to the file and export textures. We need to set our template for the output, how we want these textures to be exported. You can see for the Amazon Lumberyard engine, there are 3 texture maps here ready. So we can select just PBR metallic roughness. That's basically some default PBR settings, and it will generate 6 maps for you. I will just go with this one here. Let's go back to the settings and I will choose some folder. And now I will just hit export and you can see all of the 6 textures got exported. So let's go back to Blender. And now here in Blender, we can just get rid of this cube. So let's hit M and move it to backup, for example. In case we will need to export it later, I will hit Shift S and set cursor to world origin. Now let's go to File, Import, and import our OBJ file from Substance. And probably this will happen for you as well. It's 100 times larger than the original. So let's press S and 0.01. That'll make it smaller. And now let's go to the shading. And we have our default material assigned here. And we can streamline our texture import using the Node Wrangler. So go to Edit, Preferences, search for Node Wrangler, enable it, make sure it's enabled. And now we can just hit Ctrl-Shift-T to import all of these textures, all of these maps at once. And Node Wrangler will do all of that setup for us. And this is basically your finished hard surface model. And as always, I will now go ahead and create a little scene out of it, give it some lighting, and I will see you on the other side. So that was the Blender to Substance and back into Blender tutorial for you. I really hope you like this one and that it will help you to deliver quick results. in the shortest time possible. And again, if you're new to the channel and you'd like to see content like this in the future, please hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, hit that like button, it really helps. Thank you all for watching and have a wonderful day.